Hello, and welcome to this webinar on Neuro-Linguistic Programming, also known for short as NLP. This webinar has been developed as part of the Advancing Migrant Women European-funded project. My name is Dominika, and I'll be taking you through the content of this webinar today. As part of this project, each partner is developing a webinar on a variety of different topics. This one has been developed by Inova Consultancy from the United Kingdom. We are a small enterprise which has been around since 2001. We have in-house trainers and coaches who specialize in NLP, and our director, Marina Larios, works with different psychological approaches to support and train individuals. In this webinar, you will find the following topics: an introduction to what NLP is, information about modeling behaviors, NLP in action, the communication model, and anchoring techniques. So, let me introduce you to what Neuro-Linguistic Programming is. It was developed in the 1970s in the USA by John Grinder and Richard Bandler. The roots of this approach stem from conjoint family therapy, Gestalt therapy, and clinical hypnotherapy. The term neuro-linguistic programming can seem a little daunting, so what does it actually stand for? The neuro part of the word is concerned with the neurological system, and NLP is based on the idea that you process the world through your senses. The linguistic part refers to using language to make sense of the world, to capture an experience or communicate with others. And the programming part refers to your personal programming, which consists of your thinking patterns that you use to make decisions, solve problems, or learn. NLP can be used as a personal development tool to develop new positive behaviors. It uses principles of communication, and the methodology also claims to alter neurological pathways and behavioral patterns. It can help you achieve specific life goals. NLP has been and can be used by professionals such as coaches and trainers, therapists, motivational speakers, and many others. NLP can be used by anyone who wants to improve their professional and personal skills. Also, we often see NLP be used by public speakers as it improves communication. These are the different skills which NLP can enhance. For example, your negotiation skills where you improve your communication and through modeling, or even sales as you develop your understanding on how to communicate in a way in which you attract an audience. So, what do we mean by modeling? Modeling is a very well-recognized theory in psychology. It is the replication of desired outcomes through observation and subsequently copying. We can copy someone's behavior who is good at something to improve our own skills. We all do it, it's a part of social influence, but by learning to do this consciously, you can maximize your communication skills or any other skills you want to develop. So, for example, you can use certain questions to find out more about areas of your life which you would like to improve. You can ask yourself, what would I like more of in my life and work? For example, do you want a better job, a partner, or qualifications? What would I like less of? You may want to be less involved with chores and ask your husband to also support you. You may want less anxiety when you are presenting at your work meetings. You can also ask yourself, who do I already know who has achieved what I wish to achieve? By looking at your close circle, you may realize that your friends or colleagues already possess the skills that you are striving to develop. By observing their behavior, you can learn to model this and master the skill yourself. For example, your friend is very good at making others feel comfortable. What does she do? Does she listen to them without judgment and show them positive body language which is open and receptive? Try it for yourself. NLP in action. We can take charge of our lives using NLP. We can sometimes get stuck in a blame game. The blame game is the lack of responsibility for our own actions. Instead of acknowledging our own mistakes, we can sometimes place blame on someone else in order to try and avoid our own negative feelings towards ourselves. For example, you may have a friend who is usually late, however she places the blame on external influence, such as her boss. Your friend may be playing the blame game here. If she is usually late, she has not taken responsibility for her own actions, as there are most likely other arrangements to make in order to avoid the lateness. If she is aware that the buses tend to run late, she could have caught an earlier bus to make sure she is on time. Here, getting stuck in a blame game is not useful for both parties. In the problem frame, we are unable to see this as an issue with a solution, as we have sometimes spent so long blaming the boss that we cannot see the positive solutions that we can make. So, how do we take actions? We can develop a constructive approach to our problems by asking ourselves what it is we want to achieve through our actions. This can help you be more proactive and put yourself in the outcome frame. You can ask yourself, what lesson do I need to learn in order to solve this challenge and for it to no longer be an issue? In order to make good outcomes, we can use a SMART goal setting. SMART goal stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. It has been found that simply by writing down our goals, we are more likely to achieve them. SMART goals are a known effective tool to create goals which can be reached more easily. You can use this template to make a note of your SMART goals. I'll leave the slide on for a moment so you can examine it. We also have the NLP communication model. The model explains that three processes tend to occur as we speak. These are distortion, generalization, and deletions. This is something we all do sometimes. We can use NLP to challenge these. I will now give you some examples of how this occurs. Distortions is the idea that we take information and change its meaning. Mind reading refers to knowing someone's internal state but not saying how. The loss performative refers to value judgments. This occurs when the person doing the judgment is left out. For example, you may say it's bad to have loads of money. You can help to find evidence criteria and uncover the misinformation by asking yourself, who says that it's bad or according to who? The cause and effect is where cause is wrongly put outside of the self. And the complex equivalence is when two experiences are interpreted as being synonymous. This term means that we take two experiences and interpret them as one. So let's meet Alina now. Alina has migrated from Romania after finishing a master's degree in marketing. She's hoping to come to the UK and find a job in an advertising firm. She's facing some issues such as a lack of friends, lack of recognition for her talents, and she has also been avoiding social situations due to a lack of confidence. Alina is facing a lot of distortions in her thinking. She feels as though no one likes her and is on a constant lookout to prove this to herself. However, this is a never-ending cycle of thinking which will not benefit her in the long term. Generalizations refer to overarching statements which we make in regards to specific groups, cultures, things, experiences, and others. You often hear of these generalizations between your friends. For example, all politicians do is lie, or the British drink tea constantly. Universal quantifiers refer to when we say words such as never, everyone, always, all. They're not very useful. Model operators of possibility are assumptions we make about whether we can or can't do something. Model operators of necessity are statements we make about what we must do or should do. We may sometimes think we have to do this. However, ask yourself, what would happen if you didn't? This often happens in younger people when they feel they have to attend to university.
Now, let's meet Luca for an example of generalization. Luca is the head of a small team at a workplace. Often, she has to attend conferences and speak to the bosses of other organizations. She's 25 years old and a high flyer, but she sometimes sees being her age and being a woman as challenging, as she believes that people don't necessarily listen to a young manager. She had an experience with a boss called Andy, who disregarded what she was saying in a meeting. She came out of the meeting and said to her colleagues, "No one ever listens to me. They always ignore me." However, she sees a week later that Andy behaves like this with everyone. She realizes that generalizing is not helpful for her self-image and well-being.
Deletions relate to selective attention. It is how we are able to process the world more smoothly. If we were to take into account the meaning of every word, listen to every sound around us, and see everything that is going on, we would be overwhelmed by it all. Normalizations are process words. They are verbs that have been turned into nouns. We may hear or say to someone, our relationship is not working, but there are issues which can be discussed. Unspecified verbs is when we make a statement about something with no detail and no insight into the challenge. Comparative deletion is when we try and make a statement about something, but do not compare it to anything. And lastly, judgments. We all make judgments about the world, ourselves, or others. We may meet someone and make a judgment that we do not like them. We may tell people that they are wrong. So, let's now meet Fazayo. Fazayo is in a group of friends who go out in pairs and threes sometimes, without the whole group being there. She took this personally and started to feel rejected and excluded. She made an accusation on social media and told her friends we have a problem with our friendship and stopped communicating. She could have instead asked, what is the problem, to understand their point of view. Asking for specific evidence helps us to understand the issue that's the heart of the problem. They may not realize that they are excluding her and that she feels this way. So now, try this exercise with me. I will give you some time now to get a pen and paper. So now you have hopefully got your pen and paper, and I would like you to think about a situation you have recently been involved in which has brought up a negative emotion. Which processes do you think have taken place? Are there any deletions, distortions, or generalizations that took place? You can use NLP questions to challenge these. Let me give you an example of a situation you might have been involved in. Perhaps one of your friends never contacts you first and you think that they do not like you. You can use NLP to change this mindset and ask yourself questions such as, what does she do which shows that she does not like you? How do you know she does not like you? Does she still meet you when you ask? By gaining additional information, we can change our mindset and see things more objectively. And now we are on our last content of the session. I hope you have learned something you can take away so far and apply it to your life. This content that's coming next is going to be focused around anchors and anchoring. So as we all know, we all experience negative situations in which we feel a negative emotion as a result of it. We all have our own situations that we do not like. For example, some people do not like presenting, others get anxious during traveling or speaking to new people. You can use anchoring techniques to help you overcome these emotions. An anchor brings you back to a positive emotion. For example, through developing an anchor, you can visualize a positive experience from a negative one. It creates a positive space within yourself. Pavlov's experiment with dogs is an early example of anchoring. Pavlov has conditioned his dogs to salivate when they hear a bell. He had presented dogs with food, which caused salivation. He then paired this with ringing a bell while the food was introduced. This became what's known as the conditioned stimulus. Then, when Pavlov rang the bell and did not present the food, salivation still occurred. We can use this in our everyday life to condition ourselves with positive emotions. So how do you set an anchor? First, we need to understand what an anchor can be. These can be sounds, smells, sights, tastes, sensations. Humans create anchors all the time. It can be a specific smell which reminds you of your home, like your favorite candle or your loved one being in the room. You can consciously create your own anchor by using association between one of your senses and a particular feeling. Let's recap what senses we can use. We can use visual senses. These can be pictures, colors, or decorations. Auditory senses can be music, voices, birdsong, sounds. And kinesthetic can be textures, feel of physical elements, emotional vibes. And olfactory, smells, chemicals, scents. And gustatory, taste, food, or drink. I will present a scenario in which you may use anchoring. If you wish to be more confident during presentations, you can use an anchor to help you with this. Firstly, we establish which sense you will use. For example, you can squeeze your pressure point. Then, every time you have a confident experience, you press this pressure point. When you next need to boost your confidence during a challenging presentation, press your pressure point and to bring you back to previous confident emotions. This is how we make the association. Here are some tips. In order to create an effective anchor, you should be clear about the positive state you would like to be in. Recall a specific occasion in the past when you have felt this and relive this as vividly as you can. What sounds, smells, and feelings did you have at the time? The attributes of anchors are distinctive. They are different from everyday moments, sounds, smells, or images. They are unique, which means they are very special to you. Intense. They should be set from when you have fully experienced the peak of a state. Timely. By using the best moments possible to make the association. Reinforced. You need to practice the skill of anchoring, otherwise it will fade or not materialize at all. Just like we have existing positive anchors, we may also have negative anchors. These can be changed through desensitization, collapsing the anchor, or lengthening the anchor chain. In order to desensitize yourself from an anchor, get yourself into a neutral dissociated state. Then, visualize the challenge you have in small doses. You can then practice desensitizing yourself during strong states of this emotion. Then, you can successfully learn this new habit of desensitizing your negative anchors. For example, if you find it difficult to say no to unhealthy foods, introduce this issue in small doses and then practice when you are tempted by a large unhealthy meal. So now, how do we collapse the anchor chain? You can collapse this chain by using the negative anchor and also a positive one at the same time. You release the negative one by focusing on your positive anchor for some time. For example, if you are anxious about making new friends, try introducing your positive existing anchors while you are in a conversation with a stranger. We can lengthen the anchor chain to get rid of our negative anchors. We can do this by diffusing emotionally charged situations through a journey of different internal emotional states. For example, your boss at work said something which has made you really angry. You don't want to be angry at them and want to reach a space of calmness. However, this can be quite difficult to do in one step. So, you can change the feeling of anger to feeling worried, to feeling curious about what they may have meant, to then achieving a space of calm through emotionally diffusing the situation. If you would like to read more about NLP, please look at these additional resources.
Just before you go, don't forget to visit our website, Advancing Migrant Women, and here you can find information about the project partners, and you can access the e-learning platform to see all the materials that were developed as part of the training program for migrant women. Take advantage of the material, it's free to use.
Thank you very much for watching. Please share this with anyone who you think may benefit from this webinar. Take care.